All right, so on to cleaning and sanitation. So rule 112.140B states that it requires that growers that subjected to the rule must establish and keep records of the date and method of cleaning and sanitizing equipment used in covered harvesting, packing, and holding activities. And so training workers about produce safety helps with the mitigation of foodborne disease outbreaks. And often workers will be more willing to comply to rules if they know their potential risk. So workers must be trained on specific duties pertaining to the safety and the working with the covered produce and covered food contact surfaces and the supervision of these tasks. So you want to make sure that they know about the source of foodborne pathogens, the routes of contamination. So knowing that both people or animals can introduce pathogens to fresh produce. And then you want to introduce to them preventative and corrective measures for them to think about. And all of this relates back to what we call the zone concept. The zone concept is a term that's used in the food industry that divides the food packing and processing operation into 4 zones on the level of risk of contamination and exposure. So as far as when we talk about food contact surfaces, that is considered zone 1, as you can see on the image here, and it's high risk for food products to become contaminated. And so for that zone 1, we see that, conveyor belts, brushes, workers' hands are considered that initial food contact surfaces that your fresh produce can come in contact with. And then the other 3 zones, 2, 3, and 4, are going more in the area of non-food contact surfaces, and they're furthest away from the product. And so you see different areas such as for 2, you see outside of machinery, pumps, engines, and wheels of cart could be a zone 2. For the zone 3, we have your restrooms, storage areas, drains, and catwalks. And then 4, going out furthest from food contact, could also be your hallways, cafeteria, break rooms, coolers, freezers, and storage rooms. And indirectly, a lot of these areas could cause, if not handled correctly, like if your bathrooms are not cleaned, if there are pests in your storage room, it could advertently lead to contamination of your fresh produce indirectly. But the one you really want to focus on is zone 1 and making sure that's properly cleaned and sanitized. So looking back at the Cornell template that's been provided, it has specifically a place where you put your name and the address to your farm. You then can put your date of activity, time of activity, a list of tool and equipment, a statement of whether something was cleaned or sanitized or both. You can outline the method of use, and then you will have the initials of the person who completed the task. And then as this document fills up, you want to have the supervisor review it and sign off on it, and then have it go into your binder of records.